Welcome all to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I am your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic, paralyzed below my shoulders. I'm the Community Relations Manager at accessiBe's, and I'm a disability rights advocate and attorney focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion. Today we are joined by Clare Gray at the Shaw Trust. Welcome, Clare.
Thank you, Josh. Really good to meet you.
I'm excited to have you here today and dive deeper into you and the great work that you're doing. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah, so as you introduced me, I'm Clare Gray and I'm the Organisational Lead for Disability Advocacy and Accessibility across the Shaw Trust group. Shaw Trust is a national charity in the UK that provides learning, work, careers and training and access to good work opportunities for all people, but we specifically, our group's grassroots are really within the employability services for disabled people. So in the UK, we're the 18th largest organisation in the country. I'm
That's awesome.
just to let
And
you know as
how did
well.
you
Sorry, I was just going to say as well, I'm a person with lived
go on?
experience of disability. So I'm a wheelchair user myself. I have a neuromuscular condition, a rare neuromuscular condition called spinal muscular atrophy, and I've had that since birth.
Since birth, wow. And tell me a little bit about kind of what your day to day looks like with the Shaw Trust.
My day to day varies from day to day, which is what makes my job so good, really. I work in the advocacy space, so I work much within our policy department. It's called the Policy Institute. So I work with government officials and other charities and disabled people's representatives so that I can keep sort of fully abreast and aware of policy changes that are coming in the UK and also contribute to that in ways that we can have influence to make sure they represent the needs, wants, and wishes of the disabled community. So that's part of my work, but I'm also the organisational lead for the Disability Power 100, which is a publication and an event that celebrates the UK's most influential disabled people. So it's people that are actually changing society's perceptions and attitudes towards disability. And for today, for example, I've spent a lot of time talking about the opening up of nominations, which are going to happen very soon, and I'm heavily involved in project planning for the year, because it starts in January and we have the celebratory event in sort of late autumn, beginning of winter. So it's a long annual project that I get involved in.
So what with the top 100 list? So is it really there to kind of once again shine a light on kind of the different people across the UK that are doing incredible things with different abilities? Like, is it what was the catalyst to really kind of bring together a top 100?
Yeah, so the whole premise and the background to the 100 list was to create role models for up and coming talented disabled people. So if you're a young person in school or in education or higher education, and you want to work in a sector, say for example, science, who do you aspire to? Because many disabled people that are doing great things are behind the scenes, they're not visible. So what the publication does is shine the light on those people. It profiles them. It gives examples of the great work that they're doing. And as I said, many of them are doing their work behind the scenes. It's not shown, but because they're making changes within their own respective organisations, they're setting out future pathways for other disabled people to have opportunities for work and for employment. Because many people's perceptions of disability is that it can be limiting, but it's only people's perceptions that make it limiting. Disabled people have so many talents and qualities that they can offer to an employer, and it's making people see that actually disability is something that enhances people's abilities, not something that has a negative impact. And that's what the Power 100 is all about.
Well, it's putting together 100 success stories, and in so many ways, there's not enough, as you were saying, visibility of people with disabilities so that you can connect with them. And I know every disability is unique. It's kind of its own world in many ways. And if you can find a connection to somebody else within your unique world, it can be really empowering. And unfortunately, in today's world, there's getting that connection can kind of be really just luck at the end of the day. But if you can share those stories and make them more accessible and bring people to them, I know for me, when I was young, having mentors, having role models that I could follow
Hmm.
in their wheel tracks and kind of do similar things with them was so motivating to me. And without those success stories to look up to, it's just like you really don't know how high to look. Like it's just you don't know what's possible until you sometimes see other people doing it, and you're like, you know what, I can do it too.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So I love that you guys put together. I'd love for there to be a top 100 in every country around the world, so that younger people with disabilities, or anybody with a disability, can find somebody to connect with and look up to. And
Yes, yeah, and I was going to say, yeah, what you want as a young disabled person is to see somebody just like me, to have that connection and to think, if it's possible for them, it is possible for me to achieve my aspirations. And what is great about the Power 100 is when you read the profiles, what we talk about is their successes in terms of their business achievements, or whether they're an entrepreneur, or whether they've changed policies and practices. And secondary to that, it's about their disability and about the person, because it's people that were really at the top of their game, and have managed to get um, policies and organizations to change their practices to enable them to reach their potential.
that's awesome. And I I would love to like. Are there any stories of within the top 100 that jump out at you that you think that people would enjoy hearing today? Like, I would love to hear some of those stories.
Oh, there's so many that I could share. I've been involved with the Power 100 for um, nearly 7 years now. So I've been involved in one way or another since it began in 2015. Um, and the one that comes to mind at the moment is our number one influencer from 2021, which was Caroline Casey and the Valuable 500. And I'm sure, Josh, you've heard about the Valuable 500
They're
because
wonderful.
they're making such a global impact, and that is why, they got that recognition in 2021 as the number one influencer. So in 2021, we opened up new category for community action, because sometimes it's not about an individual, it's about people coming together as a community, whether it be as a formal organization or just as a collective, to change the negativity that surrounds disability. And I think Caroline and the work that she's done, and the Valuable 500 as a collective, they are having such impact in the global um, corporate community of recognizing the value of disability. So I think for me, that story is astounding. What they achieved in 2021 to get 500 of the most major corporate companies that have international um, uh, representation, to get them to sign up to that commitment is going some, and they definitely deserve that award. But on the other side of the Power 100, we've got category called Rising Stars, and they are young people that usually under 18s that still have an impact, and they're still achieving great things in terms of influence. But because of their age, they probably haven't been able to reach out and make changes as much as they've got the potential to yet. But they are rising. There are people to watch. They're the ones to watch for the future. And hopefully, being
Next
profiled.
generation.
Yeah, that's right, the next generation. So hopefully being profiled in that list will give them, that bit of a leg up, a bit of a step up on that ladder, and other people will approach them.
No, absolutely. Being able to provide some recognition to someone's great work, hard effort, and it becomes such a motivating factor to
Hmm.
keep doing good and keep doing the work that you're doing and following that path. So I love that you not only recognize the people that are at the top of their game, but the people that are going to be, those people are paving the way, and then the next generation's gonna take the reins and continue the great work. So
Yeah,
it's a great it's something that I think needs to be done more across the country. And thank you for starting it in the UK and doing it really really well. Um, I would love to know more about what your feelings. I'm in the United States. You're in the UK. But what does accessibility and inclusion mean to you?
what it means to me is people considering it in everything that they do, and it not being an afterthought, it being the f- the front, center, and beginning of all their thoughts in terms of how to be inclusive, because everybody benefits from accessibility, and everybody benefits from businesses, society, you know, government departments considering accessibility and being inclusive. Because we all have contributions to make, and many of the difficulties that people experience about accessing goods and services, accessing employment opportunities, is just because the needs of others haven't been considered. So I think, for me, accessibility and inclusion is very much about thinking about all sorts of people, sorts of range of differences that everybody has, and working with different sectors and groups of society to make improvements. Because it's only by listening and working with others that you can understand what's needed. I mean, my needs are completely different to your needs. So you wouldn't be able to talk about what Clare Gray needs and wants, and I wouldn't be able to talk about what you need and want. But there are similarities in what we need because we're both wheelchair users. But actually, how we actually go about our everyday lives, the things we're interested in, the things we want to be involved in, are completely different.
They're completely different, but they're interconnected in the sense of, disability it, it impacts us all, and we just there's different functionalities, different approaches, different there's so many layers to disability, and having that conversation and letting people know that it's a spectrum. It's not, we all don't look like, we don't all function alike, and that definitely helps people start to get kind of what it can be like, or start to ask the right questions, have the right conversations, how to do better. Which thank you for sharing your story with us and sharing the story of a top 100 people and continuing kind of to show kind of the broad range.
So I was just going to say the Power 100, we're going to grow over the next 3 years because we've got the celebratory year coming up of 10 years in 2025. So watch this space. We've got great plans to, develop and broaden its impact. So keep an eye out on things, keep an eye on social media because who knows where it can go in the future.
And so if people want to check out the Power 100, what website do they go to?
www.disabilitypower100.com. It's got its own dedicated website. People
It's a
can go on
great
there.
website right there.
People can go on there, and our nominations are going to open in the next week or so. So anybody can make a nomination. Because it's a UK publication, they have to have a residential address of the person you're nominating has to have a residential address in the UK. But otherwise, if you're outside the UK, you can nominate anybody to be on the list.
That's awesome. So with UK, with any business around the world, we have millions of businesses across the world doing work, serving clients, selling products, providing information and services. What's a message that, as a disability advocate or even with the Shaw Trust, that you like to share with businesses to do better? Or what's one important message you would want to share?
For me, the key importance is involve disabled people in all your design from the outset, really, because to make sure that whatever platform you're using to deliver your services, whether it be digital or whether it be a face to face service, you need to have that insight and that knowledge and understanding from disabled people themselves as to what makes it an accessible service or an inaccessible service. And sometimes small changes can make a huge amount of difference. Many things can accessibility um, condition accessibility considerations can cost little or nothing. They can be very small to implement. So please, involve disabled people in all your design and co-production because it's so important. Because then you open up to, I think disabled people alone have the spending power in the region of £250 billion. That's a lot of revenue that a business shouldn't waver, shouldn't think about that. We don't need that. I'm sure you do. As I've sort of said before, if you're considering disabled people, you're opening the doors to enable a lot of people to access what you do.
So to get more involvement from people with disabilities, what are some suggestions you have for business for them to take that next step?
Um, what I would say automatically, work with organisations like Shore Trust, work with organisations like accessiBe. There's a good promotion for us there, Josh. Because we both have, I know we both have, panels of disability experts that can test out products and services, and we can give feedback of where improvements need to be made. So reach out to your disabled community wherever you are. There are different ways to do that. You could contact myself or yourself, and I'm sure if any organizations are struggling with that, we could help. But it is about, as I said, bringing disabled people into the design from the outset. not as an afterthought. It must be as a forethought, because it costs less money to do it from from project inception than it does later on. So it's so important to do it. I always say it's disabled and not disabled yet, because people will experience disability at some point in their lives, whether it's for accident, injury, illness, age. Disability impacts on all of us at one point of our
It definitely
life.
does. So it's important to advocate now for not only for the people that it can impact today, but also for your future and your friends, your family, and different people you care about. It's an important conversation, and some important work to be done to create better futures for so many. But Claire, I just want to thank you so much for your time today and for having a conversation and joining us for Spotlight Sessions. And wishing you the best of luck in everything that you're doing. And I'm excited to continue to see year after year the top 100 on the Shaw's list. So thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's really great to talk to you, Josh. And I look forward to further conversations.
Absolutely. Me too. And look forward to collaborating on projects into the future. So, everyone, thank you again for joining us on Spotlight Sessions. Until next time, you take care and talk to you soon.